You may not realize it, but we are currently living the final graduating class of movie stars.
Vaughan Job Vlog.
I see this report that Dwayne Johnson is the highest paid actor, made $124 million in 2018. That's not bad. Even then, I struggle to view Dwayne Johnson as the biggest star. I pegged him for suitably charismatic from his first SNL hosting gig, but The Rock was by no means the biggest attraction from his foundation. That honor belongs to Stone Cold Steve Austin. By contrast, Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't a top 5 bodybuilder. He was the clear number 1. In Mr. Johnson's movies, I see a catalog of jumping aboard established franchises with his star vehicles being notably more obscure, if not forgettable. In their heyday, would the top box office draw have a TV series? I can't imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger rapping T2 and telling you that he'll be next appearing on a forgettable HBO series. But isn't that where things are going? As you hear this, Disney, the only viable movie studio still standing, in part due to their monopolization of intellectual property, is looking to segue out of cinema with upcoming projects aimed to entice subscriptions to their forthcoming Disney Plus streaming service. There are planned series functioning as continuations of movie franchise canon for both Marvel Cinematic Universe and Star Wars. What was thought to be an endless drip feed of Star Wars films from now to eternity is turning into a grand send-off for The Rise of Skywalker. The traditional avenues for stardom are changing, if not being erased. A hit TV show doesn't make a movie star now. The most recent examples of this conversion come from NBC's The Office, whose initial star Steve Carell outgrew the show. Parks and Rec introduced many to Chris Pratt, who went on to front Jurassic World and Guardians of the Galaxy while remaining loyal to the low-rated series. Mr. Robot star Rami Malek earlier this year took home the Best Actor Oscar for what amounts to a lip-sync battle performance, but I can't see evidence of him truly being a box office draw. But isn't the opposite now happening? TV stars aren't going to movies, movie stars are going to streaming. Actors and actresses are flocking to premium streaming content because they want to keep working. Only the biggest can actually avoid them. The smaller fish may get to star in a series for 3 sporadic seasons, then be cast aside. For the time being, there is interest in granting a name, a project. But for how long can that last? When the talent pool of proven box office draws dries up, who is left to demand a star's salary? Let me rephrase that. If no actor is a proven box office draw, then how will value be gauged? Is this hitting home yet? Look, I could dance circles around Jerry Seinfeld's most recent stand-up comedy special, but that's not going to convince Netflix to give me $50 million to do it. All these deals are being cashed on name recognition and a proven track record of earnings. Since streaming content doesn't produce earnings figures, there's no empirical data to support star power. All there is to go on is X is famous from X, which made a lot of money, so having exclusive rights to their next project will keep X number of subscribers happy. Hollywood is only interested in the bottom line, with the charade being that cinema is art. Movie studios dump their entire fiscal budgets into a select few highly market-researched, surefire box office hits. Whether these reboots, gender flip continuations, and brand exploitation exercises succeed or flop, the cast is replaceable. It doesn't help that there's really only interest in one genre, and that genre is spectacle. Be it superhero or Mission Impossible, people are only willing to see movies in theaters which do not look like a TV show. A rom-com isn't going to make the most of a theater's AV setup, so why bother anymore? All the time, people tell me they'll go see X movie because it was meant to be seen on a big screen, essentially justifying the marketing hype. To save their empire, a return to smaller pictures is needed. But Hollywood no longer has interest in taking risks. Little movies are not getting a shot at any profit whatsoever. What would have hit 2,000 theaters and is now limited to 3 cities simultaneously hitting video on demand. If there are no original box office surprise hits, there will be no new movie stars. It's the bread and butter of the equation. A little movie gets a wide release, becoming a critical darling, and word of mouth drives the masses to see it, making stars of the leads. Only once a decade does a truly independent film turn a profit to the extent of $100 million, but it was a common occurrence for a $20 million film to bring in 5 times its budget in profit. In the eyes of Hollywood, there are too many steps. Too much could go wrong, and to make one box office bomb will end a career. And so, we have Disney rehashing things you remember from being a kid. But do kids really want to go to movies anymore? Instant gratification has far more pull than quality. Kids can't identify a good movie, not with their limited sample size. But do they really want to go through the trouble of getting tickets, waiting in line, overpaying for snacks? I think not. Why go to the movies when you can do a number of things on your phone? If kids aren't interested, they won't mature to fill these roles. If kids don't want to be movie stars, fewer will take up acting. If there isn't the concept of a movie star for actors to achieve, we could find ourselves in a future where the most famous entertainers are not actors, and the most well-known or rather regarded actors are simply getting by, paying rent and taking out student loans like the rest of us, as their replaceability and dwindling demand drives down the rate of their services. We need to remind ourselves that while movies were a thing our entire lives thus far, they certainly haven't been a thing for all of history. Even in the scope of entertainment, motion pictures have been but a blip on the timeline. Stage plays have survived for thousands of years, and can maintain interest to outlive cinema. Should I think he had access to the technology, William Shakespeare would have been a film director. But what of a William Shakespeare born today? He'd probably transition into a woman and document it on his YouTube channel. So we're at the part of the video where I have to beg you to hit the subscribe button and ring that bell, because subscribe doesn't really account to anything other than YouTube might someday send me a plaque.